Okay, I'll prove it. I'll beat any man in this room in less than 60 seconds. Hey, Linda, don't go too far, hun. It'll be over in 60 seconds. Okay, I'll prove it. Y'all hating on Gervonta Tank Davis. Let me at him. Ego thoughts. I told you I'm back with a vengeance. The best in the business, and it's not even close. We're going back to the basics. If you like content like this, just hear me out. Listen to the point. Then make sure you guys subscribe, thumb up the video, all that good stuff. I don't care what other people are talking about. It's what we talking about right here. And y'all hating on Gervonta Tank Davis, and I'll prove it. I'll prove it to any man in this room. Let's go. So, Gervonta Davis is the face of boxing. How do we know? Everybody keeps mentioning his name. They don't stop, non-stop call-outs. Everybody wants to fight him. And friend or foe, everybody is just talking about Tank Davis. Oh, Tank needs to do this. And, you know, whether you're a supporter or whether you're a op, you're still mentioning. Look at content creators. They say Tank is bad for boxing. Tank ain't fighting nobody. But a good chunk of their content is Gervonta Davis, which lets me know that he's doing something right. And he don't even have to really say anything. He can be with his family, friends, and kids and stuff like that. And people are still talking about him. And in this video, all I want is a fair shake. I'm going to present some things, make some parallels, and then you tell me I'm lying. That's all I ask, is for a fair trial. So without further ado, let's go. Tank Davis, the Lamont Roach fight, right? People seem to be all confused and up in arms. Why is he fighting a champion from 130 pounds, right? Lamont Roach is a champion 130 pounds, just like Hector Luis Garcia. Tank moves them up, you know, and is planning on fighting champions who are moving up. And people are like, this is an outrage. How could Tank do this? And he doesn't want to test himself, etc. So I will prove the flaw in that argument and expose it fully in the next 30 seconds. So that seems to be the argument. And I want you guys to pay attention. Hector Luis Garcia, Lamont Roach, despite them being bigger than Tank at the lighter weight classes, and they just do a different cut and they're champions. Despite all this, people are complaining, like, why is he fighting someone? Despite the fact that we know for a fact that Lamont Roach was not option number one. We know this. He was trying to fight bigger names like Vasily Lomachenko, who for absolutely no reason says he's not in the mood to fight and might retire. So the fans have claimed for years that Tank was afraid of Lomachenko and Mayweather was holding him back. He's not with Mayweather anymore, and they had an opportunity to fight, and Lomachenko pulls out. And despite that, they're still somehow blaming Tank. We know that Rayo and Shakur Stevenson also were presented with options. Rayo said, his trainer, Robert Garcia, says he's not ready to fight. He had a long camp. He wants to fight at 140. You don't get to dictate to the A side when and where. So that's not going to happen on your terms. You know, you get an offer, you got to just take it for the opportunity if you are confident. And then Shakur Stevenson wanted a multi-fight deal. So Lamont Roach was not even the first, and I want that to be notated. Let the record show Lamont Roach wasn't even the intended target initially, but through this chain reaction of other fights not coming into fruition, that's what it ended up being. Now, let's compare. In recent memory, you got fights where people love the fights and it's the same exact equation. What are those fights? Bob Arum did an interview and says Teofimo Lopez wants to move from 140 to 147, and they're trying to negotiate a fight with Jaron Boots Ennis, an IBF champion. Speaking of Ennis, you have people saying that he should have moved up from 147 to 154 to fight Virgil Ortiz, and if he didn't, which he didn't, it's a duck. This is what they said. So I ask you, what's the difference? In the Jaron Ennis, Virgil Ortiz case, you have Virgil Ortiz. I don't even think he won his last fight with Sergey Boachuk, but the judges gave it to him. So he's a WBC interim champion. And Boots is kind of an unproven champion because he got his belt by email, blah, blah, blah. And he's in a lighter weight class. Everybody loves the fight. They're saying Boots needs to move up to 154. If not, it's a duck. So how is Virgil Ortiz able to pull up a guy from 47 and everybody loves it? Because he's a champion and they want to see it. And the other example I gave, Teofimo has done nothing at 147. He didn't even look great versus Steve Claggett, if I'm being real, in Miami. And the notion that Teofimo and Jaron Boots Ennis could fight, Teo would be moving up 7 pounds, not necessarily even coming off a great performance, to fight Jaron Ennis. Everybody loves it. But Tank fights Lamont Roach, who's actually been looking good in his recent fights at 130 pounds, right? And everybody is like, this is an outrage. Boom. I told you I'm the best in the business and it's not even close. So make that make sense. Oh, wait, that's right. You can't. So the reality is, boxing fans, a lot of you guys don't know what you're talking about and you're casuals. So you go off of the namesake, and if you personally are in tune enough to know these names, and if you don't know the name of the fighter and it's not a name recognizable character, then you just assume it's a bad fight, right? Me, I've watched Lamont Roach. He fought Tank in the amateurs, so they actually have a backstory. He's bigger than Tank, so I think it's a good fight, despite the weight class, you know what I mean? But because a lot of you are dumb and don't know boxing, you go only off of the namesake. So you have no problem with Teo moving up 7 pounds to fight Jaron Ennis because you know who Teo is and you know who Boots is. You have no problem with Boots Ennis moving up to 154 to fight Virgil Ortiz because you personally know who those guys are. But because you personally don't watch enough boxing to know Lamont Roach, you peg this as a bad fight. And that just shows more of a lack of your boxing knowledge than anything. Because to be honest, Tank is an exceptional talent, but Lamont Roach, based on his style, may be able to frustrate Tank more so than like a Teofimo. Like if Teofimo moves up to fight Jaron Ennis at 47, I'm picking Boots. Like I don't even have to think twice. But I think the thing with Tank is these guys are really bigger than him in terms of height, and they're just doing a different cutting down to a lighter division. So Tank's always at a deficit in terms of height. So a guy who can box and confident from the amateurs because the fights were close could be a danger to you. But Teofimo has proven nothing. He don't have no history that I know about with Jaron Ennis, like where he beat him multiple times in the amateurs or something like that. So for me, I think Boots, since he has to be the favorite there. He has to be the favorite there. But again, this is the point. You guys are hypocrites. A lot of you guys are hypocrites. You say Tank ain't this and Tank ain't that, but the reality is you okay it when it's another match with the same similarities. Lamont Roach, champion, moving up, everybody's mad and saying, oh, this is crazy. And then when I look at the impressions for Tank and Lamont Roach, there's this post on Twitter I seen. It had 13 million plus impressions from a face-off with Lamont Roach and Tank. So y'all love to hate. People are still tapped into the fight despite y'all hating. And then bet this, if Teofimo and Boots fought, it is not going to get that type of recognition. You know, boxing hardcores, of course, they'll like it. I'll like it. You'll like it because you're a hardcore boxing fan, most likely if you're watching my channel. But it's not going to be picked up by the Shade Room and Baller Alert and Vlad TV and TMZ and stuff like that. And y'all know that. So y'all hating. Tank is big business, and I just proved it.